All right, everybody, welcome to TK and Drinks. We got another What's the Story episode coming at you today. We've been graced with the presence of another home brewer from deep in the heart of Texas. We got Texas Longhouse Mead. Our friend Carlos is joining us today. Thank you, Carlos, for being here.
What's going on?
So what is that you got in your hand there, my man? So you got a nice hefty glass there. Ooh, look at that beautiful freaking, you add pea blossom to that to get that color?
No, this is actually just 4 berries. Strawberries, blackberries, blueberries, and raspberries. With I think this one I did orange blossom honey. The last one I did, I wish I had more of it. It was Tupelo honey, but
Ooh, yeah, I've never had the Tupelo honey. I hear lots of good things about it. The honeys I'm dying to try that I haven't yet. Tupelo honey for sure. Meadow foam honey, haven't had that one yet. And there's definitely one other one. Buckwheat honey. I haven't had any of the buckwheat honey. I hear it tastes absolutely terrible, so I'm dying to try some of it.
yeah, buckwheat's the only one I haven't tried. I've tried a lot of them, but
That's good. What's your favorite one to work with?
man, that's a trick question. It really depends on what we're making. I got another braggot that's going right now, a beer style mead that we're using avocado blossom with.
Nice.
But avocado, I just started it where it's now finished. It's sitting in bottles, but it's an avocado blossom sizer that is probably one of the best sizers I've ever made. And then other than that, Tupelo, meadow foam, orange blossom. I've used 3 different orange blossoms: Brazilian, Monterey, and then California. And then what else? I use so many. Wahilo honey is really good. So it's almost in the same family as mesquite, so it kind of gives a little bit of a smokiness. Depending on how you ferment it, you can actually get it to taste like butterscotch.
Holy cow! Now, do you keep like little samples of all these different batches that you get around for tasting later in the future, or anything like that?
Yeah, I keep 2 or more than 2 boxes, but I keep boxes around, and they're all labeled 6 months and 1 year, so that way after 6 months I can see how they taste, and then an additional 6 months, see how they fully develop, and see if it's going to stay the same, so that way I get a general idea of how long to age stuff.
I meant the honey.
Mm.
You keep like little bits of honey around before you ferment them or anything like that before, so you can go back and say, oh, I really like that.
No, because I kind of go through it all. But at the same time, honey changes from year to year, depending on the weather and, how long the season is and how well everything blooms. So, even from the same season, you have your early draw from honey and your late season draw, and they can be completely different as well. So
That's one of the things that I like about mead so much, is that you get so much variance and the batches. You could have the exact same ingredients across the board, and you could get a completely different beast altogether out of it.
Oh yeah.
Let me grab. I forgot to grab a glass. I got all my meads and nothing to drink it out of. Holy crap! That was rather unprofessional of me. All right. So I'm gonna we're gonna go with dealer's. I'll go with dealer's choice today. So I brought 3 bottles out of the old frigerizer. Got a local guy here, Drinking Horn Meadery. Got an apple here. It's gonna be a dry base. Brought out my bottle of Schramm's Black Agnes as it sweats away. And then I got a bottle of a home brew that my buddy sent me home with. That's a cotton candy grape.
Oh, well, it's a homebrew show, so let's go homebrew.
That's kind of what I've been dying to get somebody homebrew. I'm going to go throw these back in the fridge real quick. All right. Yeah, so this was a gift from one of my buddies that I used to work with. He's been making mead for quite a while. And so I went up to him one day and said, man, I got about 5 dozen bottles just laying around my house. My wife is yelling at me to get out of here. Is there anything you could do with these? He's like, hell yeah, I'll take all of them. I don't care if they need caps, cork, whatever. I don't care if it's 375 up to 3 liters. You give it to me. I want that. And he brought me this as a thank you, so to speak. Ooh, it is slipping like a motherfucker. And it broke. Look at that bullshit.
Oh man.
So I don't know if he knows what he's doing as far as any of that goes, but we'll try to get it out of there. At least it's got the swing top on it, though, so we don't have to even try to put a fucking cork or plug or some crap back into it.
Oh, yeah.
So have you ever made a mead with a cotton candy grape? There we go.
Cotton candy grapes, no. I've seen a couple of people who have, and, they'll try to, well, I guess you can technically call them pie mints because they're made with grapes, but yeah. I haven't tried.
It's smelling very pie mint-esque. So I had heard that he said it's about 22%.
Oh.
And he said he did not fortify it, so I don't know what the hell kind of yeast he used or what.
Beats me. I know if you treat your yeast right, you can definitely get it to go high. So if you have an 18% yeast, you give it the nutrients like you're supposed to, you can get it.
Get it up there.
Get it up there. Yeast don't know that they're supposed to have a cap, so.
Yeah, all yeast know to do is to eat.
Yeah.
Now that's pretty darn good. I don't necessarily, it tastes kind of like a generic pie mint as far as I can tell. It doesn't really have any cotton candy-esque, grape-esque type of flavor or essence to it. But I got it about a year ago, and they were some of the other guys opened their bottles right away, and they said it was really hot. I'm glad I definitely waited this long to open it up because there was hardly any heat in that at all.
Yeah. Yeah, usually anything over, like if I go over 16%, I kind of let it age a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. I would think that'd probably be pretty standard across the board as just a good general rule. If you're going to get something that high, let it sit there for a little bit.
Some people are into that burn, though.
Hey, man, to each his own. If that's what you're into, I can be on board with that. Oh, man. So, how long have you been homebrewing? You just started recently? I'm assuming not by the amount of stuff that you got going on. I see on your guys' channel and everything like that.
Yeah, my channel, like I don't have a whole lot of stuff. I just started my channel maybe a year ago. It all started because I've been getting a lot of information and everything was fine. It was kind of either a lot of people don't do that or a lot of people do that. And so when you get into the small things, there's some people like the natural way, so I'm not ragging on them, so they'll throw the whole leaves, the whole tree in there, the whole everything in there.
Right.
Oh, it's good. That's I call it the ancestral way, the ancestral ancient way. But for me, it just wasn't what I was looking for. And so I've been doing a lot of reading, a lot of research, getting on the forums, looking at different videos, finding different mead makers. And, at the time there was only a couple of them. And I was like, you know what, this needs to be brought out more, time to change. There's definitely new practices. And so that's why I started getting out there and putting out some videos. Other than that, I supported a lot of the channels. Man Mead, BC was doing the most. Arrow to the Mead, Faywood Mead, Mead with Eric and Derek, DIY from like all those guys. And so, like they have a lot of stuff that are covered. So I kind of put videos out when something really is piquing my interest, or if I'm trying to, I see a lot of questions coming about something like the three-way banana mead. A lot of people are like, oh, do it this way, do it that way, do it this way. So, I did it 3 different ways based off of what everybody was saying to kind of figure out, all right, which way is going to give you the best flavor, the best mouthfeel, stuff like that. So, but other than that, I'm definitely a big mead supporter. So, mead and bees.
Mead and bees, definitely. You can't have one without the other as far as I'm concerned. Oh, freaking animals in my house.
But to answer your question, I've been brewing for solo for just over 2 years, 2.5 years. But there was somebody that was teaching me his ways, so that way I can continue making mead once he was done. But he was more of the ancestral way.
I got you. And you're doing your thing, trying to take what you learned and build on it and take it to the next level.
Oh yeah.
Right on, man. Do you have a favorite mead that you've made so far? You've been doing it for 2 years. You got to have a couple that stick out throughout the annuals of history there.
One of the probably the ones I get asked for the most is the mixed berry one. They call it the Kvasir. It's the old Nordic bean who was born from mixed berries.
Okay.
And so that's how this one got its name. And this is probably like the 12th edition I've done of this.
Nice. And you said you keep you do have a library, small little library program. Every time you make a batch, you keep half a case or a case of it if you can.
I keep at least 2 bottles, one for 6 months, one's for a year.
There you go.
And then like some of them I've changed. Some I've thrown vanilla beans into. I've aged some on oak. But for like the summer, 6.5% carbonated. I can have because I have a 15-gallon fermenter. I can have that gone between me and all my friends in a week.
Man, could you imagine what it would cost to go out and buy that much mead, though? I mean, you'd be looking at serious ducats out there.
Oh yeah.
What like the worst or one that you had to say like that just didn't turn out the way you expected it to, or just went kind of sideways on you?
It was a watermelon lemon mead that we tried to make, and we ended up putting too much zest into it, and it tasted like straight soap. Like we tried to let it sit for a little bit, see if it would age out, and now we're just like, no, we're gonna lubricate the sewers with this one.
I like that. That's sometimes you got to know when to say when, so to speak.
Yeah.
Oh man. Do you have a plan on going commercial with your meter, or are you just like kind of doing the homebrew thing and the competitions thing and just kind of keep it on the low key level?
For the time being, like I have, I call it my 5-year plan. In 5 years, I'd like to try to go commercial. Even if it's just a small batch commercial, I'm totally fine with that.
Yeah.
If it takes off and becomes bigger, like the guys in Superstition, if I remember, hearing or reading their story right, they started off in a little corner of the back of a winery somewhere, a little 14 by 14 square, doing their thing, and now look at them,
Yeah, arguably the largest meadery in America, if not, one of the largest in the world.
Yeah. So, I have plans. I've been slowly writing out like a business plan of what I would do, and trying to figure out, all right, if I was to go commercial, and looking at tanks, honey suppliers, that way it's a constant. I buy honey at 60 pounds at a time. You go commercial, you're buying 600 pounds at a time.
So one of my friends who owns a meadery up in Washington, he was buying, I want to say, holy crap, hang on, I got cats running across my keyboard here. He was buying, I want to say, 1,500 to 1,600 pounds at a time.
Yeah.
Dude, that's some serious honey, man. Like, I don't even know what 1,600, well, I do, is like, 4 frickin' 55-gallon drums mostly full. That's a lot of fucking honey, man.
Yeah.
But that's, 60 pounds of honey. I don't even know where you would, I don't know how often you're brewing with 60 pounds or anything like that, but man, 60 pounds, that's got to be do you get it from like farmers markets right now, or do you source it all from one spot?
No, like I said, I'm a big supporter of different meaderies and the bees, so I'll support a bunch of different honey suppliers, Z Specialty or Z Specialty Foods, Flying Bee Ranch, Gardner Bees, Walker Honey Farm, they're down here in Texas as well. So me and a couple of buddies, for one day, we're like, hey, we're going to make a trip down there. So we drove down there, and that's where we bought, I want to say it was like 12 different types of honey to experiment with.
Nice.
So, and of course, Honey Walker Farm also has a meadery on their property, Dancing Bee.
Yep.
So, we bought a bunch of their meat too.
Yeah, I just did an interview with Calvin Green from Black's Ferry Meadery.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got to talk to him a little bit. He's under the impression, and I agree with him wholeheartedly. I'm kind of interested what your take on it is. He says a lot of people are sleeping on the Texas meats thing. There's lots of big things happening down there. Lots of really, really talented cats. A lot of people are kind of, I would say, like blowing them, like sleeping, not blowing them over, but like just ignoring them or kind of.
Oh yeah. There's a lot of meaderies in Texas, I would say. Well, I wouldn't say a lot. There's, Texas is big in itself, so, there's definitely spread out. Like here in Dallas, there's only one, which is Break and Brew Meadery, and they're pretty good. Of course, you got Meridian Hive down in Austin.
Right.
You got, what's it called? Rohan or Ron or something like that, Meadery.
Rohan, yeah.
Then, was it Texas Mead Works? There's... What's that?
Mystic Oak.
Yeah, I want to say maybe 10 in Texas that I'm aware of. There's probably more, but again, like I didn't know Break and Brew was here until maybe last year. Actually, it was last year. So.
Yeah, I'm dying to try their stuff. They look like they got some really cool designs on their bottles. They got a cool vibe from everything I see on their online presence. So
yeah,
give them a shot.
Yeah, it's good. And like a lot of their stuff is actually hop because they all came from beer brewing.
Oh.
And so they combined beer brewing with the hops and mead, and trying a lot of their stuff is one of the reasons I also got into hopping meads. Like this is my lemon drop lemon mead that's carbonated.
How'd that one turn out?
This one is I took it to a friend's house the other day where there was it was a small a medium-sized gathering. There's probably about 15, 20 people there. And, a lot of people tried it and they're like, you got to go with this one. Cause this is probably my fifth one that I've hopped. I've done them all with different, Azaka, Cascade, Citra. Yeah. I'm getting used to this new mic. So.
Oh, no worries, brother. Well, that's cool, man. At least you got some decent feedback on your project there.
Oh, yeah.
20 different people telling you that's the one to go with. 15, 20 people. That's got to be a pretty solid, solid sampling of people there.
Yeah, there's a couple of people there who've never even heard of mead before, so that was their first time trying it. And like one guy's like, "Oh, it's like wine." We're like, "No." Wine's wine, beer's beer, meat is meat.
Yeah. There you
go. It's fermented like wine, but meat is meat.
Yeah, that's about where it stops. You got some similarities in your yeasts and your processes, and that's where we call it similar.
Yeah.
Do you do a lot of food pairings with your meads that you make, or do you like design any of your meads to be paired with foods?
Not so much. Just because, I like a lot with it really depends on the day, It's hot outside, so yeah, I'm going to have me a nice steak because, this is Texas. But I'm going to go with this lemon meat over here. Or, hey, we're going to have some salmon or whatever. Hey, we're going to have a mixed berry with it.
Right. So, yeah, I'm working on getting my own setup going on for some home brewing, home mead making. I always feel weird saying brewing because I feel like somebody's going to come out and say, it's not brewing, it's mazing or mead making. But I'm trying to get my own setup going, get some 1 gallons, rocket and rolling, we're going to go with the blowdown tube status versus the airlock status. And I think I'm going to start off with some, was that KV 1116 yeast?
Yeah, K1V.
Yeah, something that can, isn't so temperature sensitive, isn't so finicky around its temperatures. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I just started experimenting with a lot of Kvike strains, and Kvike you can actually ferment hot. I did my braggot at 92 degrees,
and it turned out just fine. Or it's turning out.
Oh, so far, it's good. It fermented in 40. It was 1.066, and it fermented out in 48 hours.
all the way down below 990?
No, it's well because it's a beer, so you'll have some like residual from the
Oh,
hops, or not the hops, but the grain that aren't fermentable, but it stopped at 10:10. So, but it got done in 48 hours, and
I'm
you know
saying.
I did it with my homebrew club, and so all those guys are beer drinkers, and I took some before, still aging for 6 weeks, but I took a sample over to the homebrew, and they're like, hey, give this a try, and they're like, oh, this is gonna be good. So we'll see.
And that was with the Kavik yeast. Yeah, I've heard lots of good things about that. Brian up at Unpossible Mead there in Illinois, he's been using it for quite a while, I guess, and he says lots of great things about it. So if you're saying good things, I would say it's one of the happening things in the yeast world, but in the yeast mead world right now. But it seems to be one of the happening things in the mead and yeast world right now.
Oh yeah. So
Yeah.
there's a couple of YouTube people who are real big on it. Like BC doing the most. He's huge on it, and after watching a couple of his videos, doing what he does, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna give it a shot. And then so far, I'm impressed.
And it's easy, is readily available as any of your other yeast strains that you work with usually?
Yeah, for the most of my stuff, if I can't get it from a homebrew store, I'll order offline.
Support
Depending
somebody's.
who. Yeah. Granted, they're a little bit bigger, like Northern Brewer, Homebrew Ohio, and Austin Homebrew Supply.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right on, man. Yeah. Do you have like a go-to yeast strain for like your pie mints, or a go-to for your melomels or anything like that, or do you just kind of roll the dice across the board and see what happens?
No, like I have my go-tos. Like for my mixed berry, it's either QA23 or 71B. For my traditionals, D47. My sizers, it's either going to be D47 or QA23. I play around with them. I mainly use like K1V. I hardly ever use EC 1118, but I mainly use like K1V for like stuck fermentations. But I just started getting into adjusting the pHs so that way I don't have to use the higher ABV yeast to get up mead rolling again. So you live and you learn.
Yeah, definitely. I'm sure it's like you said, it's a learning curve, and sometimes I'm sure you get a flavor profile that comes out of one yeast that you prefer over another one with this type of mead type. It's all like you said. It's all experimentation out there. So if you had if time, money, energy, all those things weren't an issue, what's like your dream go-to mead? Like you've been dying to work with these ingredients, but you can't get them.
That's a trick question because there's a lot of fruits out there that I want to experiment with. It's just getting it.
If money, time, if there was no issues, no nothing, like if you could just like snap your fingers and genie style everything right in front of you, what are you picking?
Man, that's hard. That's actually I've never actually thought of that.
So I was going to say probably some Manuka honey. That's what everybody's typical go-to is, because it's so expensive and difficult to procure from New Zealand.
But I don't know if I really like Manuka honey isn't bad. Don't get me wrong. It's good, but like every time I taste it, trying to think of how the fermentation process would be with it, because it definitely is a lot more viscous than like a traditional honey is. I have a Texas cotton blossom honey back here that's just straight crystallized, and when you look at it, it literally looks like cotton. I'm like, you see it, and you're like, do I really want to ferment with that?
Right. What's that gonna do to my tanks? Have you been to any other meaderies outside of Texas?
Any meaderies? No, not really. Most of the time I just order meads, like from Vino Shipper or whatever. The only place outside of Texas that it's really not a meadery, it was like a mead bar, was a Skull Mead Bar in Seattle.
Oh yeah, Skull up there, the Mead Hall. That place is freaking awesome. I love the vibe inside that place. I was up there about a month ago, and yeah, that
Yeah,
place is kick ass.
yeah.
Um, whose meads were you trying when you were up there, if you remember?
Oh man, uh, I remember they had the Vikings blood one, the one from Danksmod or whatever,
Mhm.
the Polish meat style, basically. Man,
Did you try any of the local cats up there?
I tried almost everyone they had in there.
I tried
Like
everything.
I don't remember like everything that was there. Like I remember the dance mod one specifically just because every time I try it, I'm like, ooh, okay.
That stuff is, it's not for me. I understand why people like it, but it's most definitely. I've had it a couple different times now, and it's. I always find it to be a little cloying. Honestly, it's super thick and syrupy. If you were going to go travel to another meadery somewhere outside Texas or outside your region or something like that, is there anybody you're dying to visit?
Shram's Mead actually. Um, I was trying to time it this year to where I can make it out there when Shram releases his Heart of Darkness because I want to get a couple of those, but
Yeah.
I totally missed it. So I try to stay on top of it because I'm gonna get me a bottle one day.
I'm gonna get me a bottle. You just want to get that, try that one for what it is, or because it's so expensive, or what are you thinking?
Just
See what the hype's about.
well, not just the hypes because everyone who's ever had it, you know, 'cause I listen to a bunch of different podcasts too. Like Got Me with Vicky Rowe and all them. Um, I'm finishing up with Meat Made Right with Sergio. The Meat House podcast. I listen to all of them, and everyone who's ever tried it is like, it's an experience.
Yeah,
So
I've seen a lot about it. I haven't obviously had a chance to try any of it yet. I think the bottles are going anywhere from 150 to 200 bucks on the secondary market, if you can
I,
find somebody willing to part with one.
I was looking for one because I was willing to pay for it just because I really want to try it, and I saw somebody had just sold one for like $500.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, man.
And and those are, was it 375 mils? So that's just over 6 ounces or something like that.
375 is 12 ounces.
Whatever it is.
Yeah, it's like 30 ounces, 30 milliliters to an ounce.
Okay, yeah.
That's, yeah, doing fucking liquor taxes and shit like that is a pain in the ass. Trying to remember, it's 2.3775 gallons in a fucking case and blah blah. Yeah, it's stupid. But regardless, yeah, it's a tiny ass 375 ml bottle for I don't even know what they charge for them at the factory.
Uh, Last I saw it was $180 at the shop.
180 bucks at the shop. So yeah, that explain it would make sense that they would be going for at least double that on the
And
market.
the Heart of Darkness you can only pick up directly at Shram's. They don't.
Yeah, they don't.
Distributors. So you want it, you better be at the door.
Yeah, exactly. You better be in line a week ahead of time to get one, like a freaking Star Wars release in the 90s. If you could only have one of your meads that you were going to drink, let's say you're going out on a hike for the day, you only got one spot in a backpack, what are you bringing with you?
We're talking about hot or cold outside?
Let's go with cold outside. You said on the hot days you like to pair up this, you're digging this lemon drop one you got going on. Like nice cold day, nice something hearty and warm.
This year because I only make ciders once a year for the holidays. This year's my 10%, but I had a 14% cider that I had last year that was just phenomenal. It was really good. Warm it up, you just sit it by the fire and let the bottle warm up naturally. Pop the cork so it's just a little bit warm, and it was delicious.
That sounds amazing. Do you throw like a little cinnamon stick in there or something? And
oh, well, in post fermentation, I throw cinnamon sticks, vanilla beans, stuff like that. So it's already in there. You just let it warm up a little bit, especially when you pull that cap off or the cork out. The first thing you get is a good, because I use sweet cinnamon.
Okay.
So you get that good, nice, sweet aroma from the cinnamon, and then the apple comes out. and once you pour it in the glass and keep it warm in your hand, you get that honey, the apple juice, the cinnamon. Oh man, it's definitely keeps you warm.
I'm a bit envious that I don't have some of it in front of me, man. That's absolutely wonderful. I think when I start making, so when I start home brewing myself, I think I'm gonna stick with a lot of just traditionals until I can get something dialed in there that I like. But I think my first fruits I want to do is either going to be apples or grapes, because ciders and pie mints are becoming the most intriguing things to me the more that I try them. These pie mints are, every time I have one, I find the similarities and the extreme differences in all the, like, they all have this one similar type of taste and feel to them, but then they all just take a left turn at 90 from there and go off into their own world. And that's, I'm loving it. I think it's great. Who would you say inspired you to get started making mead?
Well, like I said, there was a guy that I started brewing with. He was getting ready to get out, and he was kind of going around. Oh, you want to learn how to make mead? Yeah, sure, I'll learn. But we're talking about, like, with me learning my modern practices, I'm gonna go with Carvin. Carvin's been like one guy, like, I kind of keep up what he's doing, like all the interviews that he's been on. Like, I'll try to listen to him because, for some guy who just comes fresh on the meat scene, was it several years back and is blowing everybody out of the water. He's doing something right. And so I'm like, what? And then, there's several guys that are doing it. But Carvin is just one of those guys that you hear him talk, you just want to keep hearing what he has to say, because it's Carvin.
What's your favorite single variety traditional that you've tried?
Probably a metal foam. Granted, there was a guy in my homebrew club. He made mead once, and this was, man, what was it? It was either 8 or 18 years ago, one of the two. Yeah, I just remember I had 8, and he made one with the clover honey. That was, and it was a sack mead. It was 18%, and as soon as he told me, he's like, "Oh, you're the mead guy. I want you to try this. Tell me what you think." And I was like, "Oh, okay." That was amazing. Yeah. It just aged that long. Everything had mellowed. It was smooth, like velvet smooth. You couldn't tell it was 18%.
Holy cow, that's dangerous. That sounds amazing.
Oh yeah, it was dangerous.
And it was the only time he'd ever made mead?
It was just the one time he made it. He was waiting. He was in between batches of beer, waiting for it, let them age and develop or whatever. And he was like, "Oh, I heard mead was quick. Here you go." And he's like, "Yeah, I pull out a bottle once a year to see how it's going." And he's like, "Since you're here and you're the mead guy of the club, try this."
And it was something else, huh?
It was out of this world.
Yeah, I tried a 10-year-old mead, or either 10 or 15-year-old mead the other day. It was a berry one. It was, again, super smooth. It was the first time I'd had a mead that was aged that long, and I can see why you would want to set some of your meads aside to age like that. I mean, the whole bottle had just turned, like, it was a clear bottle, and you poured it out, and like the whole thing was just, I can't remember what they call it. It was like, just stained with the color of the fruit and everything. It was like a boysenberry mead, I think.
Oh yeah.
And oh my God, it was so good. But I can only imagine what an 18-year something would be. That just sounds absolutely wonderful.
Oh yeah. Other than that, like, Bremen Horn has one that's aged in bourbon barrels, I think it is. It's like Odin something or another. And that one, if you like bourbon or whiskey, that one's definitely, and it's just a traditional.
Who makes that one?
Bremen Horn.
What's it called?
It's Odin something. Oh. It's got a black label with Odin on it.
Gotcha. Yeah.
The Wanderer.
Yeah, I've had a bunch of them from Birmingham so far, but I have not had that one yet. I'm dying to try their new, what is it, like Mother of Darkness or whatever it is, like cherry chocolate something. It looks phenomenal out there.
I haven't heard of that one yet.
Yeah, then they got a blueberry pie mint that they're releasing as well. That just sounds phenomenal. I'm in the process of getting my distribution set up with those guys, so I'm trying to have them out here in Arizona ASAP because their stuff is phenomenal. I haven't had anything crappy from them yet.
Oh, and yeah, no, they've got some good stuff going.
Actually, my favorite one from them was one called Sleepy House. It was a chamomile, and holy crap! I mean, it was just so wonderful. It was like the perfect glass of chamomile tea, like perfectly sweetened. You couldn't do anything better to it. It was, man.
Nice.
Have you worked with any botanicals or any, I guess people consider like non-conventional ingredients or less common ingredients?
Well, like kind of everything I work with, I work with chamomile, I work with rose hips, hibiscus, stuff like that.
Mushrooms?
But no, like I do want to. It sounds crazy. I do want to make a mirepoix mead.
Oh.
With a bunch of vegetables or whatever, and throw that into a mead. I was listening to the Mead House, and they had somebody that made one, and I was like, it's basically just used for cooking. That's all it is. A mead made for cooking.
Okay.
And I'm like, you know what? That sounds really good to have, for cooking and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So
to have on deck to saute something in or to infuse flavors with and stuff like that. Absolutely. Throw it in like a marinade or something. Yeah, dude, I'm on board with that. I'm down like 4 flats on the Cadillac, brother. What is your best performing competition mead that you've had so far? What's the mead that's got the most accolades?
Actually, this year is my first year getting into competitions, just because I feel like before I wasn't so worried about. At the time, I didn't really care what other people like. I cared what people think because I'm making mead, but it was for me and my friends who what they said. I was like, all right, you guys like it? All right, let's keep making it. But this year is actually the first year we're getting into competitions. I tried to get into the Blue Bonnet, but there was a mix up with their email. They said you had 12 days, but you actually had 12 hours, so I missed that competition. I got in with the Mead Stampede this year, even though it's not an official mead competition.
It will be before long.
Yeah, everyone's got to start somewhere. So I got into that one this year. I'm waiting to hear back. Waiting to get my results back from that. I want to get into Major Cup this year. Orpheus just opened up, so try and get meads ready to go for that one. What's the other one I want to get into? Valkyrie's Horn.
Yeah.
So then I think this year they might be doing Texas Mead Fest, which is down there at LaGrange. And so if that does happen, I want to get into that one.
Definitely. It's good to see that all these cups are, coming back up and the competitions are really starting to ramp back up. Got anything big planned for Mead Day coming up here in a couple weeks?
Just making a bunch of mead, really.
Making mead, drinking mead, talking about mead, doing mead stuff.
Yeah. Like I think because I think it was Mead Day is what, August 7th, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
International Mead Day now.
Yeah. The following week, August 14th, my homebrew club we're actually meeting at my house for August, and I'm teaching. I got a couple guys in my club that I got. I got our club president who's a hardcore beer guy. I got him to start making mead.
Nice.
So the whole homebrew club's coming over to my house, and I'm teaching the club how to make mead, and so we're gonna, I'm gonna do a traditional, a sizer, and a mellow.
Nice.
So.
Very cool, brother. That's awesome. How many guys are in your homebrew club?
I want to say there's about 30 of them.
That's a good size club, man.
Yeah, now whether all 30 of them show up, that's a little different.
Sure. But that's a good size club, man. A lot of people to bounce ideas off of and a lot of collective knowledge to pull from.
Yeah.
What size bottles do you bottle your stuff up in? Do you use 500 ml bottles? Use swing tops, corks only?
No, I have them all. I have 6-ounce sample bottles. Like if I have a small batch, like if I do a 1 gallon batch, I'll bottle them in 6-ounce bottles. That way, hey, you try this, try this, try this, try this. You know, I can pass them out to people to try. Hey, give me some feedback, because I don't do a whole lot of 1 gallon batches. The smallest one I make now is 3 gallons.
Mhm.
But unless it's something that it's the first time I'm working with it and I want to see how it ferments or how it adds flavor to or take away from, and so then I'll do a 1 gallon. And if I do 1 gallons, if you use 12-ounce bottles, you only got 10 people to sample it. But if you use 6-ounce bottles, now you got 20.
Right.
But
So
other than that, I use everything: swing top bottles, wine bottles, 750, 12-ounce bottles, 6-ounce bottles.
whatever's available.
Yeah.
Do you prefer corks? Do you prefer crown caps?
Anything over 10%, really, I'll put in a wine bottle. Depending on what it is, depending on the flavor, then 8 and above I will. But other than that, it's strictly 10 and over. Because anything over 10, I don't carbonate. It's all still. And then anything under 8, I'll carbonate. So 8 to 10 is kind of that. We're going this way, that way.
When you're fermenting, do you ferment to your target sweetness, or do you prefer to ferment dry and then back sweeten?
I ferment dry and then back sweeten as my preferred way. Trying to stop fermentation. Like, I've tried several different ways. As a matter of fact, I had 1 bottle. Luckily, it was just the cork that blew out on it, but it fermented, to 15%. I used a 14% yeast. It went to 15%. Sat there for 6 months. Aged it on oak and everything. It was steady for 6 months. Stabilized it, all that. And it was a dessert style mead, so it finished at 1025. So there's a lot of residual sweetness there. Well, sitting in the office and heard a loud pop. And what the heck? Poked my head out, and my wife's yelling at me, "There's meat all over the floor." I'm like, sorry.
Whoops, didn't mean to do that. Oh man, yeah, that's one of the reasons why I'm choosing to go with the blowdown tube versus the airlocks. Is I guess is the way I understand it. With the traditionals, it's probably not going to be that big of a deal. But once you start getting into mellows or anything that could potentially get up into that airlock and lock it up, once that airflow is jammed, that's going to just cause that thing to pop like a mother. And I've seen 6-7 gallons on people's floors and stuff like that. It's like, that is not what I want to deal with at all.
I've seen a gallon on somebody's roof before.
1 bottle I bought one time with a swing top, I popped it open and it painted my ceiling purple. It was an elderberry mead, and it just had started re-fermenting, and just the second I got it open, just looked like something out of the fucking Exorcist or something. It was ridiculous.
Yeah.
I guess that is the risks we take, so to speak.
Yeah.
See here, we got burgers or pizza?
Burgers. Texas, baby. Come on.
What's your favorite cereal growing up?
You know what? It's not that it was my favorite. It was just what I remember as a child. And that was the shitty Rice Krispies. The shitty Rice Krispies where you had to throw the sugar on top just to make it sweet.
So it didn't taste like cardboard?
Yeah.
Oh, yes. What's the worst job you ever had?
Honestly, I've only had 3 jobs, and I loved all of them. I spent 8 years in the Army. I got out, became a paramedic, spent 3 years as a paramedic, and then went back to being, it wasn't in the military. I was a team medic doing security.
Okay. You liked all your jobs. That's freaking cool.
Yeah.
Do you like to cook?
Yeah, when I have to.
When I have to. Do you remember the first time you ever tried mead?
Yeah.
Where was that?
That was at Fort Bragg, North Carolina.
Oh, Were you in boot?
No, this was I was stationed there.
And who introduced you to Mead?
One of the guys who was introducing me into how do I explain it? We call it the old ways. Eatery.
Okay.
So they were out in the middle of nowhere in the woods and had a little, like doing the little ceremonial thing. And the guy's like, here, try this. I'm like, the hell is this? He's like, it's mead. I was like, meat? He's like, no, mead. I'm like, y'all ferment like venison or what? He's like, no, it's honey. I was like, oh, well, I like honey. The first time I drank that, and I was like, it's a little funky, but all right, whatever.
And it just kind of went from there.
I was way back when, and getting hooked up with my guys here. They're like, oh, hey, you want to learn how to make mead? Oh, yeah, I want to do that.
What's the best mead you've ever had?
Ooh. It's a tie between Superstitions and Brimming Horns. I wish I had the bottle in front of me because there was one that it was good. I know if I went to my phone, I'd be able to find a picture of it because I took pictures of it, but it was
from Superstition.
It was either Superstition or Brimming Horn because I did a big mead purchase. I bought like $500 worth of mead from everywhere. Superstition, Brimming Horn, Two Warriors in Louisiana, but unfortunately, the day I ordered it was the day they burned out.
Holy crap! That was Man, I'm trying to get the interview with those guys as well because that's a freaking hell of a story.
Yeah.
What's your favorite type of Girl Scout cookie?
Samoas.
Oh yeah, dude, caramel, coconut.
Oh yeah, that's the next meat I want to do is a coconut meat. That's one I haven't tried. I want to try.
What do you want to do? Coconut in primary, coconut in secondary, both?
Both probably. Like I'll probably do it 3 ways, just like I did the banana. One in primary, one in secondary, and then one with both to kind of see which direction I want to build my recipes off of that.
Gotcha. So. And have you put out the end video for that banana one yet?
Yeah, it's on my page.
What type of bananas did you use for that? I think I did. I asked you about that already. It was the Kavanaugh bananas that you said you were using.
Yeah, whatever one was it the Dominique or Chico, whatever it is. Yeah. Whatever one that's the one they typically use or get. So yeah.
Yeah. I was talking to Dysfunctional Delights, Brad up there, and he was talking about some other bananas, like a kasha banana or something like that. And it's the banana that, like, have you ever had like banana runts or like banana Laffy Taffy?
Yeah.
And it's like that artificial banana flavor. That's not an artificial banana flavor. It's from this one particular type of banana, is what he was saying. And
check that out.
Yeah, apparently those bananas are kind of difficult to come by if you don't know what you don't know type of thing.
Yeah.
But he made a chocolate banana barrel aged mead with that. I've been dying to try. Chocolate covered barrel full of monkeys. I'm dying to try any more banana meads that I can. I think bananas. That's actually one of my favorite one that I had from Superstition was a banana mead. I think it was. I can't remember what the name of it was, but that was actually really, really phenomenal. I was a huge fan of that one.
Yeah, Moonlight Meadery has a banana one too. That one's actually really good. That was the one that actually kind of got me into wanting to make a banana mead.
Oh wow, yeah, I didn't get to try that one from Moon. I tried probably about almost a dozen of them from those guys, but did not get to try the banana one.
I think it's called like monkey bread or something like that. It tastes just like banana bread. It was good.
I'll have to give that one a try. Those guys really know, like some of their flavors I thought were kind of hit or miss, but when they had one that was on, I mean, that motherfucker was on point.
Oh yeah, that monkey bread was definitely on point.
It's definitely on point. I'm on board with that. What's the first thing you do in the morning when you get up?
Open my eyes.
That's a good answer. Open my eyes.
Nah, actually, my wife calls me weird because as soon as I get up, I get dressed. You never know when you got to leave the house.
That's true. Hey man, can't be wrong with that, man. If I'm dressed, I'm ready to go.
Like my shoes are literally at the edge of my bed, so I get up, I can put my shoes on. Gotta go.
I love it, man. That's freaking awesome. And if you could have a superpower, any superpower, what would that be?
Ooh. Do we consider Batman having superpowers? Because if we're gonna do that, I'm gonna be a millionaire.
A billionaire with a cave full of technology and a butler that can read your mind.
Oh, it's gonna be a cave full of fermentation vessels.
What's the biggest size fermentation vessel you got?
15 gallons.
15 gallons. Is that one of those cone-shaped ones that's in a stand?
Yeah, conical fermenter.
Yeah. And you like working with that? Pretty easy to work with?
Yeah, it's easy. You just gotta make sure you keep it clean. Like stuff that I know that people like really want, like my Cavassier or my hot lemon. What's the other one? The sizers. The pineapple one I made. Stuff like that. People, if it's something that people want a lot of, then I will make 15 gallons of that. Other than that, it's, I make, let's see, I got 6-gallon fermenters.
6 1-gallon fermenters?
No, I got 6. I got
6 carboys.
Well, I got 3 6.5, 1 6, 3 5s, 4 3s, 5 1-gallons. And of course, I got all my buckets and stuff down here.
Yeah. You do any like really small ones, like any little quarts or anything like that?
No, not really.
I was talking to another home brewer, and he was talking about doing little like half-gallon ones and stuff, and trying to do like have it ferment like on your shelf. So as it's giving off CO2, you could have a couple of plants up there, like kind of feeding off of the CO2 that is given off of that, kind of doing like a little, not like like a plant mead version of like aquaponics.
Hey, it works.
Yeah, I'm down to try anything. I think it's cool. Anytime you can get something crossed like that is a freaking cool aspect. Is there anything else that you wanted to say, or any messages you want to get out to all 7 of my viewers?
Get out, try mead. Even if people say it's horrible mead, you might like it. And even then, like, for the home brewers, try a bad mead. Learn from it. Don't just because somebody says it's bad, go learn why it's bad. I tell people, oh, you want to try? Not that I try to dog any meadery, but it's kind of like a general. A lot of people don't like it just because it's really, really, really sweet. It's like the Chaucer's ones. Hey, go try this. All right, now you know what a lot of people don't like. Now go try this. A lot of people like that. Yep. And this one, people will say it's the run of the road, and find what you like. So don't discount a mead just because somebody says it's bad. You might actually like it. Like that Odin one from Bremenhorn. I'd have my buddy try it, and he's all like, "Ooh, I don't like that." If you can explain it to people and get them to understand, hey, look, it might not be for you, but it's a good mead, then you'll start changing people's mind of going, hey, it's a good mead, it's just not for me.
Right. That's exactly it. We can try to understand something from like a technical aspect. Like, look, try to understand this is why it's good. This is why it's technically correct, even though you don't really care for the flavor profile. At least understand what makes it a good mead versus a poor mead or a low quality.
Yeah.
Definitely, man. I think that's some phenomenal words of advice right there.
Get out, support your local meaderies, support as many people as you can. Go support the YouTube makers because supporting them is going to help get the word, and that's how we expand the word of mead. And hopefully, mead's the number one growing alcoholic industry right now, but it's still the smallest industry in the U.S. Yep. So get out there and support everybody, and hopefully, one day you'll support me.
Yeah, exactly, man. Support them so one day we can support Texas Longhouse Mead. Oh, real quick, where'd you get the name Texas Longhouse Mead? I really dig that name.
Well, one, I'm in Texas, and mead is Mead. And Longhouse is, from the heathen point of view, is where everybody gathered to celebrate, to
Yes.
party, to back in the day, it was, it's when they held trials. But either way, it was a communal place where everybody came together at one time. And so for me, Texas Longhouse Mead is like, hey, when we're in Texas, I want a longhouse where people can come, enjoy themselves, sit, laugh, cry, drink, and just, live life.
The Longhouse, I always looked at that as kind of like a Native American version of like a pub or something like that. Like the original pub. Like it was like where the community came together. You had the giant fire going in the middle with the food and everything going. Everybody
Yep.
kind of had their spots going on and up and down the Longhouse. Yeah.
One day if I open a meeting, it's gonna be like a drinking horn. They're, it's just gonna have long tables. Hey, get in where you fit in.
Yep.
Meet somebody new.
Exactly. Sit down next to somebody you never met before and make them family.
Yep.
Right on, brother. Well, I appreciate your time today. Everybody go follow Texas Longhouse Mead on all their social media pages, Facebook, YouTube. Do you guys use Twitter?
I don't have Twitter, but we're on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube.
Yep. So yeah, definitely go follow them. Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, everything you can. Give them the follows, the likes, the shares, the love, all that stuff. Because this guy is doing big things. And like I said, don't sleep on that Texas Mead team because you're going to be upset with yourself when you're behind the game.
Oh, yeah.
Well, thank you very much, Carlos. I appreciate your time today. Everybody else, stay tuned for more interviews, more mead reviews, and all that type of stuff from TK and Drinks. Later on, brother.
Let's go.
Let's go.